Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. A new rule qualifying veterans with bad paper for VA benefits raises concerns about how it will be applied. Now, already, if you're not aware, there are ways in which a veteran can obtain benefits. Some in a scaled down version. Others, you can request basically a discharge review from the VA for benefits purposes only. You can also go back to the DOD and the branch and ask for a character of discharge upgrade. So those two routes are already in existence. Now, let me tell you, so we can just kind of get some things in place here. At first blush, it's like, well, why, right? Why would somebody who gets a other than honorable type of a discharge be allowed for carte blanche VA benefits? In some cases, there are out there that make sense for this to happen, and in the current situations, right? So here's my quick example. Person joins the military, goes overseas, or before they go, everything's great. They're, getting promoted, whatever, right? They get it 2-3 years in, and now they go overseas. They see something that people shouldn't see. Life kind of gets a little bit sideways. And now they start drinking a little bit, maybe more than normal. And then maybe they're late, maybe they're not showing up, maybe they're not caring as much anymore. Maybe they're a little more frustrated and irritated and push back. And maybe one day they hit their their CO, right? So they punch out their CO. Well, now they get kicked out. So now that's gone, right? So now they're out on the street, figuratively, with a bad, dishonorable discharge, most likely, right? So they're out. Well, pretty much you can ascertain from that very fast story that the person probably had PTSD. The military, the branch, didn't do anything to really help that person, and there they were, sitting in the barracks, just drinking and becoming, just a downward spiral, right? And it doesn't quite jive. And I get it. It's hard for the military at the platoon, at the company level, to work with that, right? Well, your platoon sergeant, right, is not a counselor, right? Is not somebody who can work with you in that setting. So it's important to identify those situations and get those folks the help that they need. Now, that doesn't always happen, obviously. And so here is an example of where maybe that person goes in for a character of discharge upgrade because, quite frankly, he or she got put in a situation in which, it was horrendous, and now they have PTSD and it was untreated and they didn't know how to cope with it, right? Should they really be penalized after 3.5-4 years of good service, for example, and then that happens and here we are, right? So, I don't know. There's 1,000 different, examples that you can give. That's just off the top of my head of an example of why you would want to have some sort of recourse there. That person should be able to go get VA healthcare, get treatment for their PTSD, that type of stuff, right? So let's jump into this. So a new rule qualifying veterans with bad paper for VA benefits raises concerns about how it will be applied. Again, there's the two routes already for a review of discharge for internally within the VA for benefits purposes only, and then the true upgrade on the DOD side. Let's see what they're talking about within this article to see if we could pick up any tips or ideas of what's going on, see what nuggets we can find. This was on Stars and Stripes, by the way, on their website, and Linda Hershey, and it came out April 30th, 2024. All right. A new rule that makes tens of thousands of veterans eligible for benefits previously denied because of less than honorable discharges does not go far enough in providing a clear path for accessing disability assistance, healthcare, and other Department of Veterans Affairs services, according to veterans advocacy groups. Under under a rule published in the Federal Register that takes effect June 25th, veterans who can show that mental illness, traumatic brain injury, or other extenuating circumstances has led to the misconduct will be considered for the first time for full VA benefits. Veterans are excluded from VA services and benefits if their discharge was not honorable. So, June 25th, very important date for these folks. Basically, it's making it an easier route. So, let's move on. Dana Montal, I don't know, an attorney for the Veterans Legal Clinic at Harvard University Law School, said that the new rule still imposes a significant burden on the veterans to undergo lengthy individualized reviews on the circumstances of their discharge that can take years before they are awarded access to VA services and health care. Renee Burbank, director of litigation at a nonprofit National Veterans Legal Services program, said the VA needs to ensure that staff knows about the change and that the new rule is applied appropriately when reviewing claims for VA benefits. I agree. The VA has a hard time getting it right anyway, so anytime you have a change, it's very easy to get overlooked. Let's move on. Given VA's track record, in order for this new regulation to make any difference to service members who have long been denied their benefits, VA needs to outline specific efforts to educate their employees to ensure they properly serve any new recognized veterans. Veterans who left the military with so-called bad papers may not even be aware of the rule change. Most are not aware that they will qualify that will qualify them for VA services, advocates say. Army veteran Adam Johnson, 41, of Tennessee, is among an estimated 125,000 veterans who have left the military since 2001 with less than honorable discharges or by special court-martial for minor offenses. Johnson, who suffers from mental illness and is homeless, said he is hoping to seek the new exemption with the help of a county veteran service officer and qualify for VA services. But he said that the VA has not informed him about the rule change, which becomes effective in a month, or next steps for seeking VA benefits. Of course not. The VA is not going to reach out. In 2007, Johnson was ejected from the military with an other than honorable discharge in his final 3 months of duty. Johnson said he had the bright idea, so there's quotations there. So Johnson said he had the bright idea after a night of excessive drinking to drive a motorcycle belonging to his commander without permission. Johnson ran from the police in a high-speed chase that was recorded on video before he was detained. I was given a choice to go to the brig or leave with an other than honorable discharge, said Johnson, who has experienced homelessness since discharge. Johnson said that after leaving the military, he was plagued by nightmares, flashbacks, and negative thinking. He was hospitalized for mental illness related to post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, and thoughts of suicide. For the longest time, I have been in and out of mental hospitals, Johnson said. No matter what the discharge papers say, they do not show what happens to you mentally or physically, said Johnson, who served at Fort Moore, formerly Fort Benning, and Fort Stewart, both in Georgia. He was a private first class when he left the military. Johnson said that recently he was directed to the VA for mental health care, which he has received under special my reading is awesome. For humanitarian reasons for chronic homelessness. So, if you're homeless, there's another gateway into VA healthcare. He also receives Social Security disability checks, but he said the payments are not enough to cover monthly rent on an apartment. Lisa Von Hagen, a veteran service officer with the County Veteran Service Office in Tennessee, who works with Johnson, described the denial of VA care and services to veterans with other than honorable discharge as having a ripple effect that affects their ability to receive health care, secure employment, and afford housing. Having an other than honorable discharge is a big thing I see with homeless veterans who can't get care and services they need. It is a big piece of the puzzle for them, she said. The National Veterans League Services Program and Swords to Plowshares filed a lawsuit April 16th to compel the VA to apply character of discharge differently for other than honorable discharges when considering VA benefits. The lawsuit was dismissed Tuesday after the adoption of the rule change. Maureen Cedar, legal director with Swords and Plowshares, said that a lot of discretion is left with VA adjudicators in determining benefits under the rule change. The veterans still have a significant burden to prove with mental health problems or racial struggles at the time. For example, she said, we're seeing clients denied benefits after one infraction. The VA is still allowed to turn people away for minor misconduct. The lawsuit also stated that Congress authorized VA to exclude only former service members who received formal due process through a general court-martial and were discharged with dishonorable or bad conduct characterization of service. Navy veteran Gerald Crump, 57, of Texas, did receive due process in a court-martial in 1994 after he stole another service member's credit card and used it to buy several items. Crump, who was a petty officer 3rd class, said he was sentenced to 6 months in the brig, but the judge also recommended that he continue active duty after serving his sentence. Because I had never been in trouble before this, the judge said he was not going to remove me from the military, Crump said. But after serving his sentence, Crump said he had an administrative review where it was determined he would receive an other than honorable discharge. Everything the judge had said did not mean anything, Crump said. Crump said prior to the misconduct problems, he had been hospitalized with depression and thoughts of suicide. He said that there were racial problems aboard the ship, the USS San Diego, when he was deployed to the Persian Gulf. The incidents involved threats and derogatory statements scrawled on the kitchen walls where he worked, he said. After his discharge in 94, Crump said he applied for disability compensation related to post-traumatic stress disorder and depression, but Crump said he was turned down because of the other than honorable discharge. He receives no VA services or benefits today and recently was laid off from his job as a supervisor at a manufacturing company. After the VA Secretary announcement last week that many veterans with other than honorable discharges may soon qualify for more benefits, Crump said he checked in with the local VA office in Dallas to learn more about it. There's a quotation here. I have contacted them twice now. I was told they were not aware of any new rule or law for veterans with other than honorable. Crump said, they said my only option is to apply to have my discharge upgraded. They said they know nothing about it. Well, that's a party. So the big thing is that we're talking about, what was it, June 25th, that the rule change should take effect. Now, again, you never know. They might kick it down the road a little further, but we want to keep an eye on this, and I will keep an eye on it as well and see if I find out any more information. But this rule under the Federal Register states that it takes effect June 25th, where veterans who can show that mental illness, traumatic brain injury, or other extenuating circumstances led to the misconduct will be considered for full VA benefits. That's huge, and let's keep our eyes open on it. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great one, and remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.